Hello, hello, welcome to the show. Welcome to Not Just Nintendo, a video game podcast where I talk about Nintendo. But it's not just Nintendo here at Not Just Nintendo, as I talk about other video games as well. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 18, and it's actually interesting because you guys are seeing this on the 18th episode on the 18th. How interesting is that? Not very, but it's something, right? It's definitely something. I'm recording this, of course, on Tuesday the 17th, so it's not as relevant for me, but it's relevant for you. So I guess that's the important part. A big thing to mention, I'm recording this on a different microphone. It should be quite a bit better than the headset microphone I've been using before. I've actually had this microphone for a very long time, but it was broken. The top part had broken off, but glued it together. It's perfectly fine now. So I guess I just never thought to use it. Honestly, I forgot about it. It was away in my closet for a couple of years, honestly. And pulled it out and had my dad glue it together, and all of a sudden, it's working fine. So, fantastic. And it's a Blue Yeti. It's a decent enough microphone. I probably need to still tamper with the settings and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely better than that headset one. I will say the headset one honestly wasn't that bad. It's better than some of the ones I've used. If you go back like 5 years, which don't, it's not worth it. But if you go back 5 years on the channel and you see some of the early videos, microphone quality quite a bit worse, as it turns out. So, we've improved quite a ways, but this is definitely a big step. So maybe at some point it'll get better. That'd be nice, because this still isn't perfect, but it's better than nothing. So big thing from, obviously this month really, the Switch 2 is now nearly 2 weeks old. Which, I mean, I guess is significant in a way because it feels like it just came out yesterday. I, of course, have been playing it a lot still. I guess I probably played it about the same this week as I did last week, about the same amount of time. Even though I had a little bit more time this week, not a ton, but a little bit more time in the last week. Um, I played a little bit of stuff on PC as well. Been playing some of the Epic Games free stuff that I've claimed over the last, several, over the last year really is about when I started claiming that stuff. So anyways, I was playing a little bit of that stuff, and we'll definitely talk about some of both of those things. There's some PC stuff to talk about, and there's some Switch 2 stuff to talk about. And specifically, I beat one game on Switch 2, and I beat two games on PC. So I'll talk about all three of those, plus a bunch of stuff that I haven't beaten, but I've been playing. So of course, we'll talk about that, and then there also will be some news to talk about, and I guess that's probably it. I don't think I need a third segment. Maybe I'll discuss. Actually, you know what? I might discuss some things people have some common complaints with the Switch 2, and tell you whether I agree or whether what my take is on some of the common complaints I've heard. I might do some of that as well. We'll see. We'll see what the episode brings. If I get a couple hours out of just talking about games I've played and out of news and stuff, then I'll probably just call it good, and we'll talk about that on a week where it's a little bit drier. Although, I mean, I guess, it's that time of year where there is a lot of news. Obviously, we just had Summer Games Fest. I guess now it does slow down a little bit, but it doesn't slow down completely because one of the big things, I actually saw this, was this 2 days ago or yesterday? I don't know. Anyways, tomorrow, so actually when you guys are seeing this, it already happened. There was a Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, which is supposed to be another one of these like 15-minute things that we got like for Mario Kart World. We got the Mario Kart World Direct. It was very uneventful, very non-informative because we had already heard all the information. I did live stream that one. I will not be live streaming this one. Like I said, school is officially out. Like the classes and regular classes are out, but I still have review sessions for final exams that are going on over the next couple weeks. Specifically, I only have the two at the very end, so mine are next Wednesday and next Tuesday, the day before. I have those 2 days, but then I have review sessions basically every day from now until then that I'm gonna go to. They're not generally a full school day's worth, but some days they're pretty close. So today I had one in the morning, but my afternoon's been clear, so yeah, it just depends on the day. Um, Thursday I'll have nothing, but it varies significantly. So this starts right at 9 o'clock, which happens to be when my review session starts tomorrow. So I will not be able to watch this live or stream it live. But to be honest, I mean, it's 15 minutes long. If I was completely free when it was happening, I would probably live stream it and then move over to Tears of the Kingdom or something instead. But yeah, it's not anything too crazy. It's not anything too eventful. I will definitely watch it. I'll be happy to watch it because I'm interested in Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's obviously something I care about. When you guys are seeing this, just 29 days. You know, I like to give my countdowns. I'm all about my countdowns. But I don't think this direct is going to be anything earth shattering. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I will not be live streaming it. I'd like to, but I'm not like too bothered. If it was an actual direct, like a June direct, and I couldn't stream it, I would be upset about that. But Donkey Kong Bonanza, oh well, you know, we can live with it. This is a little bit strange though. I've definitely got to say because this is now the second time, here on Switch 2 that they've done a dedicated like short 15-minute direct, dedicated to a specific game. And I find that it's a little strange because they haven't really done that in the past, right? It's not really something that they've done. Do these? I mean, obviously there have been a couple instances here and there of directs focused on one game. This isn't anything too crazy, but it is a little crazy that this is happening now twice in a row in a pretty short space of time, and they're each like 15 minutes of concentrated information. You know, like that's a little surprising, and it almost makes me think that this is going to become a trend. So maybe when Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, probably in like October, right, is probably my guess. Maybe we'll get another direct in September that's like 15 minutes on Metroid Prime. Or maybe when the new 3D Mario game that's definitely happening like next month, totally. Maybe we'll get one on that, right? Obviously, that's not happening. But you know what I'm saying? Like maybe for every major release we get over the next several years, maybe it's their new strategy, and maybe they're just trying it out, testing the waters and stuff. That definitely seems like an interesting strategy, and I'm totally down to do these 15-minute dedicated showcases as long as we still get regular Nintendo Directs where they announce stuff, because those are definitely exciting, and I think it makes a lot more sense, I would think. Obviously, I'm not, running Nintendo. But I would think it makes a lot more sense to have those dedicated presentations where they announce things. So I don't think they should announce anything, not in a direct, which is funny because that did happen in the last week. So we'll talk about that. But I think having these dedicated presentations is totally fine, as long as they don't replace actual directs. And I'm sure if a game as big as a new 3D Mario or like a new 3D Zelda or something where they had a lot to talk about, they would probably do one of these directs that was a little bit longer, like a regular length, not even a regular length, but somewhere in between size direct. So I'm sure they would be scaled based on how much there was to talk about. If there's a new, like the new Rhythm Heaven game, that's not going to get a 15-minute direct because nobody's going to watch it, right? Who cares, right? But something like Donkey Kong Bonanza or Mario Kart World, those are slightly bigger deals. They'll get it. And if there's something like a 3D Mario or a 3D Zelda, they'll probably get even more information, I would assume. I mean, I obviously will have to see, because we still haven't had a huge big thing like that. let's get one of those, please, Nintendo. But you know what I'm saying. So, anyways. But yes, I think that's interesting that there's a Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. I will definitely be happy to watch it. I hope that it's actually new information. I'm sure for a lot of people it will be, but personally, I am a proud user of the Nintendo Today app, so I know about all the different action commands and stuff in Bonanza. So I don't know. I imagine a lot of it will be repeat, but hopefully there's something big and something new that they announce in this Direct. I'm not holding my breath, though, because the Mario Kart World one, it kind of sucked. If we're being honest, it kind of sucked. So I'm not I'm not holding my breath, but that would be pretty cool if they did do something big and something exciting. And so we'll have to see what happens. I mean, obviously, I can't sit here and speculate too much. I mean, I'm saying all this, and I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it's really not relevant to you because you already saw the direct. And I'm not gonna like do an emergency episode and be like, okay, we're sitting down for 30 minutes talking about the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. It's not worth doing anything like that. And I don't know, maybe if there's something earth shattering, if all of a sudden, we're watching this 15-minute direct, and all of a sudden Mario pops up, and you're facing Mario, and the whole game, Mario is the boss. That would be pretty cool. Even still, I don't think I'd talk about it. Maybe if it's a co-op platformer with Mario, I mean, something like that. But I doubt anything like that's going to happen, so I'm not going to do a dedicated mini episode to that or anything like that. So no big deal. If another big direct does happen this month, I will probably live stream that one, as long as I can. Obviously, it'll depend on what's happening. But I'm thinking after next week, I think I'm actually pretty free for the month. Well, I say for the month, but the month's almost over after next week, isn't it? So, but I'm pretty free for a little while, like a month and a half or so. So we'll see what happens. But yes, Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, that's big news. I guess that, I wasn't planning on doing news right at the beginning, but I can actually touch on one more thing before we get into some games and stuff that I've been playing because I thought it was kind of interesting. And surprising in a way, surprising in a few ways, and not surprising in some other ways. Let's talk about Splatoon Raiders. So Splatoon Raiders was announced on June the 10th. I just looked it up because I wasn't entirely sure. The episode might have been out then. I'm not entirely sure. But I guess this trailer dropped on Nintendo today, and I totally missed it. I didn't hear about it till a couple days later. But yeah, Splatoon Raiders is a game that's coming out. It's a spin-off Splatoon game. And to be honest, I don't know much about this. And honestly, I don't think anybody really knows much about this. I mean, obviously the people that are making it and stuff. But it's not really something, I don't think they've given us like a ton of information on this game. Or at least, honestly, in my opinion, not enough information. But it's not, it's not a Splatoon 4. I mean, I guess in a weird way. I'm not entirely sure if this is gonna have multiplayer and stuff. Like, it's pretty unclear. Honestly, I need to touch up on this and figure out exactly what's going on. Maybe I can read it real quick. Yeah, it's like a single player versus environment is how thegamer.com is describing it. That seems like in line with what I saw. But I'm not entirely sure if they're still having multiplayer in this game. It's a little weird. If you haven't heard about this, like, I'm not surprised because this has really not been very public. It's very strange that they haven't talked much about this. I'm not at all surprised that they're doing a Splatoon game this early, in the generation. Like, obviously it makes sense, right? I mean, Splatoon 2 came out, like just a few months in, I think, right? September, maybe 6 months in. It wasn't long in, I didn't think. Maybe it was even sooner than that. In the Switch generation. So it came out pretty early. Obviously, they're going to want that out, especially in Japan. That's like a big thing. It's like probably the biggest. Maybe Mario Kart is the contest. But in Japan, that's like right there with Mario Kart as the biggest online things. Over here, it's not quite as big, but it's definitely number two. I mean, I would say I don't know. I think Splatoon's more popular than Smash Brothers online. Maybe, could be. I don't know. It's probably pretty close, but it's definitely one of their big tentpole online things, and I guess just overall, it's one of their tentpole things. It's the 10th anniversary of Splatoon this year. I guess that's interesting. I mean, personally, I just really don't care much about Splatoon. I've never really. I'm just not that into the online stuff. I'm just not into online stuff. It does seem like an interesting shooter. Like it has its own mechanics. Obviously it's totally different. I've played a little bit, like a few hours of Splatoon 3. That's it. I have Splatoon 1. It's on my desk. When I'm ready to play games, when I'm planning on playing them in the next even couple of months, but when they're the next couple things on any given console, I put them on my desk. So oftentimes, I'll be looking at my shelves and be like, okay, what am I playing next on Wii U, right? And right now, I haven't really been playing the Wii U, like, hardly at all. But the next thing on Wii U for me is going to be Splatoon. I spun a wheel out of a bunch of things to decide which one was going to be the next one in Splatoon 1. Splatoon 1 1. There you go. Now, obviously, the Splatoon Online is gone, but I want to play the campaign. I don't have Splatoon 2. That's the one I'm missing out of the three, so it's not great. I will probably, if I like the Splatoon 1 campaign enough, I'll definitely go track down Splatoon 2. It shouldn't be too hard to find. And I'll play the campaign for that too. And there's an expansion for Splatoon 2 as well, the Octo expansion. Maybe I'll play that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not like set on anything, but yeah, Splatoon 1, I will probably get to that this year. Honestly, probably this summer. I'll probably get to it this summer. And we'll see if I like it. I did start the Splatoon 3 campaign, and by start, I mean, really, I played like 45 minutes or something, and then kind of got away from it. This was end of 2023, maybe beginning of 2024. So, right around that, the turning point of turning, not the end of the year. I don't know what you call that, like the rollover, like in between Christmas and New Year, or maybe it was a little after New Year. But anyways, I played a little bit of it then, played a little bit of the online then. I thought it was all right. I wasn't like terribly hooked. Otherwise, I probably would have kept going with it. But yeah, I will probably go back to Splatoon at some point. Splatoon Raiders, I'm sure for most people that's a fine enough jumping on point, and it actually does seem interesting. Like it seems like there's a big single player element here. Obviously, you know, the Splatoon campaigns have always been a thing. I've heard that the Splatoon campaigns are actually quite good. So obviously people are usually there for the multiplayer, but they're still good campaigns for what I've heard. But it seems like Splatoon Raiders might be even more focused on the campaign. So I'll do a little bit more research on this myself, see if I can find out any definitive information or any theories or rumors, and I might talk about this a little bit more next week. I might actually accelerate when I decide to play Splatoon 1, so don't be too surprised if I come on in the next couple weeks and I'm like, alright, I played Splatoon 1, or I've started Splatoon 1. Obviously, I've been playing a lot of Switch 2, but I'm open to going back to other consoles now. It's been enough time that I'm like, alright, well, I was playing on PC this weekend, so I was already like, I've already moved over, I'm like, okay, well, that was cool. Obviously, Switch 2 is what I've been playing most still, but yeah, I'm definitely ready to go back to some other things as well. I'll play stuff on each console. Um, but yeah, Splatoon Raiders. I don't know much about it. I would guess that I don't know what happened here. It seems a little weird that they would, announce it now. Like, because that almost tells me maybe they're not doing a June Direct like I thought they might. Or they're doing a July Direct instead of a June Direct, and Splatoon's supposed to come out in like September or something. And so they didn't want to put it out too close, but then even still, like they didn't want to announce it too close. But even still, you would have thought if it was going to come out that early or that soon, they would have given us a date or some sort of indication that it was pretty soon. But at the same time, I find it hard to believe that this isn't going to come out in the next year or so. Like I would think they'd want to get this out pretty early because a Splatoon game definitely seems like something they want out early. Like I said, especially in Japan, it's a huge hit. Like you need a Splatoon there at the beginning. Over here, maybe it's a little bit less of a big deal. But they could definitely still use it, especially. I mean, they're online live. Like they've got what they've got literally just Mario Kart. I mean, if anybody who's super into online, which as much as I don't want to admit it, is like most people at this point. They don't really have much on Switch 2. They've got like Mario Kart World and oh wow, Fork Knife, right? I mean like, but I'm saying like big Nintendo stuff, right? I mean they've got Mario Kart World. That's kind of it. So once people start to fall off of that, which obviously many people will continue playing it for 8 years or so, but I'm sure other people are gonna want something to break it up. Splatoon could definitely be that thing. And I find it interesting and I think exciting that they're getting away from they did Splatoon 1, 2, 3, and now, boom, we're doing something new. I think that's interesting. I'm actually a little surprised, though, that they didn't just do a Splatoon 4. Not necessarily they have to call it Splatoon 4, but something that was definitely related. But I think just them saying, putting a new title on it, the trailer looked different, looked like they were on an island or something. Like, it seemed like there was a big shift here. This is definitely supposed to be different than Splatoon 1. And I really hope, or the other three, I really hope this comes out this year because we really need more stuff. I mean, really, if I think about big things that are coming out, like big things that can, honestly, I don't even know if they can sell the console, but things that have some potential to sell the console for somebody, or at the very least are going to keep me entertained. You know what I mean? Like big Nintendo stuff, right? Like, we're talking like the big stuff, right? We've got Donkey Kong Bonanza, we've got Metroid Prime 4. That's it. That's all we got this year, really. I mean, like, yeah, there's some smaller stuff. You got your Rhythm Heavens of the world, but who cares, right? I mean, I'm not saying I won't play any of that stuff. I might try some of it, but it's just, I mean, and other than that, it's Switch 2 editions of Switch 1 games, like, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And that stuff I'm still excited for to a degree, but I know a lot of people aren't, and I could still definitely use some of that other stuff. So I think we need to get this out this year. This needs to be something that happens this year. I could see this being like a September thing for sure. If they want to keep the momentum up, I think this could be a September thing. And then like November or so could be. I think because right now I'm kind of leaning on Metroid Prime 4 as an October thing. But if we find out that this is supposed to be September, I might decide that Metroid Prime 4 would be more like November. But we'll see what happens. I mean, whatever happens, I'm sure Metroid Prime 4 will be at the end of the year. But we need something in between July and October, November, I would guess, right? And we've got like Kirby in the Forgotten Land, like the remake of the Kirby game. Not even a remake, just the port of a Kirby game with an extra campaign. Like that is not going to be the big thing You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, that's just not. It's not gonna do it, right? I mean, I think I'm gonna buy Forgotten Land probably, but that is not gonna be the thing to keep people entertained. So, they definitely need that out probably in September, I would say. But we'll see what happens. Maybe it's not till next year. I'm almost thinking it might not be, considering they didn't actually give us a date on it. It makes me think it might not be till next year. But I think if they're smart, they need to get it out this year. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe there'll be more info by next week. Probably not, to be honest. But maybe I'll find more info. I am sure though that there is no release date announced at least. So there could be something later on, but we'll have to see what happens. I guess that's where we're at, right? We'll have to see what happens. I think we're gonna take a little music break here, and then I'll be back and I'll talk about the three games that I beat. I'd say I probably have quite a bit to talk about with each one. I think actually, you know what? No. Before I talk about the three games, I think I'll actually talk about the other stuff I've been playing on Switch 2, and then we'll loop into the three games that I beat. So the stuff I've been playing but haven't beaten, and then the stuff I've beaten, and that'll be the next segment. All right, so we're back and we're ready to talk about some video games. Gotta love talking about video games, right? So of course, I've continued a lot of the stuff from the last week that I talked about on Switch 2. Mario Kart World, I've got to say, Mario Kart World's not getting a ton of my attention, to be honest. I did go back and I did, I think, like one more Grand Prix. I don't even know which one I'm on at this point, on 100cc, and then one more knockout tour on 50, and the knockout tour felt super slow and super sluggish, going from 100 to 50. And that's not like Mario Kart World's fault. It's just like, I don't know. Mario Kart World, the more I play it, the less I think the more I think it's not the right launch game, and the less I enjoy it, to be honest. There's a lot, like, it's just not that eventful, There's just nothing going on. It's just Mario Kart again. Like, I really don't think this is a big deal. I think part of it's just that I don't really care about the free roam mode, and I talked about this enough last week. I don't want to get too deep into this. I don't want to be too negative either, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm still happy to have new hardware. I'm happy to have a new. I mean, I've been complaining for 11 years, just like everybody else, that we haven't had a new Mario Kart game. Even though I'm not a big Mario Kart fan, I still think we should have one. And now that we got one, here I am complaining. But at the same time, I mean, really, they made this out like this was going to be some crazy thing. Like, oh my gosh, Mario Kart in open world. It's like Forza Horizon. No, it's not. It's not like Forza Horizon. I mean, I haven't played Forza Horizon, but I can tell you, it's not like Forza Horizon. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm happy. I'm happy that there's a Mario Kart game. I'm happy that people are now satisfied. I'm sure people will be playing this for 8 years. It'll be the best selling game on the console. I mean, all these things will be true, obviously, right? But personally, I feel like we could have got more out of this, and I feel like based on what they were saying, we should have got more out of this. Like, really, this was supposed to be this big, crazy thing, the free roam. There was going to be so many things to do in the world. There was going to be, there was all these costumes, and it's just, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's fine. It's a good game. It's good. I mean, but it's really like at launch, I need my big single player thing, and I don't have that. I don't have that. Like, I need 3D Mario or 3D Zelda, but obviously I understand that maybe we're not getting that for a while, right? It's only been 2 years. But yeah, like I need 3D Mario. Honestly, there's even other things I think I'd take, but like really 3D Mario has to have been it. And I'm honestly, I am I'm befuddled. I'm flabbergasted. I mean, to really get my point across here, I am shocked to see that they have gone this direction and put out Donkey Kong Bonanza over a 3D Mario game. Like, really, I really don't understand what the thought process is here. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to like make Donkey Kong more popular, trying to get him back in the mainstream, but like, really? Like, that doesn't seem smart, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good this game is, it isn't going to sell like a 3D Mario game would. And it's not going to sell units like a 3D Mario game would. And I'm just like, are they stupid? Are they stupid? That doesn't make any sense. And if they had a totally different team on this Donkey Kong game, and like the 3D Mario game just wasn't ready yet, they put out this Donkey Kong game from other people, like at one point it was supposed to be Vicarious Visions was supposed to make one. If they had something like that, or honestly, I think they should probably do it in-house. Like, I agree, this should be an in-house game. I don't care who makes it. Put the Zelda team on it. Put whoever on it. Who cares, right? But anybody but the 3D Mario team. And I understand maybe they're the best suited to make this game. That could be, right? I mean, honestly, it's probably true, right? And Retro Studios, they're a little busy, but the 3D Mario team should be busy too. Like, why aren't they busy? They should be making a 3D Mario game. What have they been doing for 8 years? Apparently, Donkey Kong. And I'm like, okay, they can make a Donkey Kong game, but there better be a freaking 3D Mario game too. And if there is, obviously, I'll be pleased to have a 3D Mario game, but that should have been first. Honestly, I think they should have delayed the freaking console to get a 3D Mario game ready. Like, that is the wait that a 3D Mario game should have on a console launch. They should delay the entire console launching. They should wait a whole nother year for that 3D Mario game to come out at launch. Because, like, it's been big news in the last week, Switch 2 best-selling game in 2 weeks, or best-selling console in 2 weeks. It sold like 3.5 million, whatever, who knows. And I'm like, 3.5 million, that's great. With the 3D Mario game, it probably would have been at least 5. I mean, honestly, I think we can expect that. I mean, it seems crazy, but yeah, I think with a 3D Mario game, they would have sold at least 1 million more units. I would imagine many, many more units. Like, because it just has that kind of weight. That is, like, the game. Literally, the game that has the best, it has the most, the biggest amount of, the largest amount of people are going to buy the console for 3D Mario over anything else. And I'm sure Mario Kart World, because they made such a big deal out of it, has kind of stepped in a little bit, but not nearly as much as I think it should have. Yeah, I'm really surprised, and I'm quite nervous about this console launch without a Mario. I feel uneasy for Nintendo's sake about this lack of a 3D Mario, and also kind of disappointed about the lack of a 3D Mario. So, I don't really know what to think at this point. I don't know what to think. It's really weird, and I don't want to be negative about this launch, like everybody else is, but I really question what their thought process was here. Like, 3D Donkey Kong is a good game for them to make, for sure. I agree, it should have been made. I've been talking that they need a 3D Donkey Kong game forever, right? The 3D Mario team was not the team to do it unless they had already gotten a 3D Mario game out for the Switch 2. If they put one out this year, and then in 3 or 4 years down the road we get a 3D Donkey Kong game, fantastic. But I think their idea was here just to do something different. They're like, we need something different. It'll bring people in. No, not the way 3D Mario will. Not the way 3D Mario will. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe suddenly the Switch 2 will blow past the PS2. It'll sell 700 million units. And I mean, like, who knows, right? But I'm really concerned about their launch without, really, in my opinion, nothing big. There's nothing big this year. Nothing big enough to sell the console. So, I'll be happy with Donkey Kong Bonanza. Not as happy as I would be with 3D Mario, but I'll be happy with Donkey Kong Bonanza. But not as happy as I should be. And I don't think it's going to really sell the console like a 3D Mario would. Let's go ahead and actually do the thing I said I was going to do and talk about games I've been playing. So, Mario Kart World. I already talked about that. I'm going to shut up about Mario Kart World. I'm not going to talk about that again until I beat it, honestly. I need to stop talking about it because it's going to make me mad. So I have not gone back to Bravely Default. I have not gone back to that. I'm going to at some point. I guess I'm just a little intimidated about it being like 52 hours long or whatever. It's pretty long. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's good. It seemed good from the little bit I played. I wasn't like specifically drawn, I don't think. I wasn't like, oh man, I gotta play this game. There was also something else that came up that I've been playing, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a good game. I'll go back to it for sure. Probably this week, to be honest. Probably in the next week, I'll probably talk about it. Or I'll probably go back to it and then I'll talk about it. But yeah, I just wasn't immediately like, oh my gosh, I need to play more of this game. It seemed alright. I was just happy that it was $40. I think that was the biggest thing. I was like, oh my gosh, $40. I'll take anything for $40. Not quite, but I'll even take Mario Kart World for. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, I will go back to that for sure, but not right away. Not right now. I mean, maybe right away. Maybe right away. But I haven't in the last week, is what I'm saying. All right. The other thing on Switch 2, the other Switch 2 game I've been playing, I should say, was Sonic X Shadow Generations. I talked last week that I was gonna probably buy this, and I did in fact buy this. My Walmart, they finally put games on the shelf. I know, crazy concept. Who would have thought, right? Put the games on the shelf. For anybody who doesn't know, I went out to Walmart the launch day of the Switch 2 and they didn't have any games on the shelf. They were like hiding them behind the service desk. Like you had to go up and like when you went up, they didn't even know what that you were talking about. You're like looking for Switch 2 games. They bring you like Switch 1 games, and I'm like, no, no, they're like the all red box. And there's this lady who's like in the wrong department. She was from like some like photo department, and she was brought in because there were so many people that had to work the tech department, like the tech area, because the Switch 2 had came out, and she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know what she was doing. And so she was like bringing me Switch 1 games. I'm like, no, no, it's like they're all red case. They say they have like a 2 on on the top. Yeah, I mean she was nice. She was helpful. She found some things Mario Kart World basically only. But I was just like, okay, that's all right. We'll try again when the games are actually on the shelf. And so they are finally on the shelf. That's when we went to Target and bought Bravely Default. But yeah, now they're on the shelf. I went to Walmart, bought Sonic X Shadow Generations. I will say, I was immediately very happy. For one, I really like the box art. I know it's the same on all the consoles, but I really liked the box art. But I think the biggest thing for me was that when I opened it up, I was greeted by a booklet, an insert, an insert, an insert, an insert. Who would have thought, right? It says Journal, property of Gerald R. And then in the back says property of the Eggman Empire. And it's a bunch of lore. I actually haven't read it yet. I should probably read it. But it's a bunch of lore based on the game. It's not a manual, but it's a similar idea, right? You get a little insert with the game. And I was baffled. I was blown away that they would do something like that. That's not something that you see anymore. And I wish you always did see it, but you don't. So, yes, it was already my favorite game of all time because it had a manual. No, I'm kidding. Um, but yeah, no, it seemed I was already happy about that. Brought it home, booted it up. Now here's the thing, right? I am not a Sonic guy. I'm not a Sonic guy. And I think part of the reason I was interested in this is that I didn't get a 3D Mario. And I was like, alright, I need something. I need something single player. Specifically, I wanted a platformer of some type. And I wanted something new. And Sonic was only $50. And I was like, alright, let's do that. And also, I had heard that Sonic Generations was actually good. So I was like, alright, I'll try this one out, see if it's any good. It is. It's pretty good. I will say, I'm still not like Sonic's no Mario. He's no DK. He's no Kirby. He's no like most of these, but it's all right. I thought it was a decent enough game from what I've played so far. I will say I'm almost done with Sonic Generations. I have not tried Shadow Generations yet. Those are different games. For those who don't know, Sonic X Shadow Generations. Sonic Generations came out in 2011. It was a 30th anniversary of Sonic. Or sorry, 20th anniversary of Sonic. So there's a bunch of in Sonic Generations. There's a bunch of levels that are like throwbacks, callbacks to other Sonic levels from other games, and I'll talk a little bit about those in a minute. But yeah, Sonic Generations came out originally in the 360 PS3 generation, the 7th generation, in 2011, and then now it's been remade. It actually got remade last year in October. And in it, they put another little side game, Shadow Generations. Obviously, Shadow the Hedgehog being, kind of another like a nemesis, like that kind of thing. To Sonic, he's another hedgehog. So, these are the two. It's almost like the Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. It's like that idea, right? They had Super Mario 3D World. They, you know, prettied it up, tossed it out on Switch 1, and added another game mode, that being Bowser's Fury. It's basically that exact idea, this time with Shadow Generations. And I have been playing Sonic Generations, like I said, and basically the premise is, well, the story, I mean, it's, there's no story, it's like, whatever, I mean, it's like, Eggman he's like the bad guy, only for a little bit, though, and then there's, like, some other thing that's the bad guy, and, like, they, like, drained the color from the world. I'm like, who cares? Whatever. I mean, I haven't been paying attention at all to the story, but I mean, like, whatever. Who cares? The levels. Let's talk about the levels. There are two Sonics in this game. There are two generations, you could say, of Sonics in this game. There's like the old 2D Sonic from the Genesis days, although he's not like sprite art. He's like the modern, like almost like in Sonic Superstars for anybody who's played that, which I haven't. But they had two of the Sonics in there as well. So they had that Sonic, and then they had the more modern Sonic that's in 3D. Like the one kind of looks like the one from like Sonic Colors, or like pretty much any Sonic. You know what I mean? But like the old one, he's a little less pointy. He's like a little lighter of a blue. He's a little shorter, a little smaller, right? And it's the little one, the old one, that does the 2D levels, because each zone obviously has two acts, like in any other Sonic game. Or not any other, but just about any other. And the first act is always in 2D, and then the second act is always in 3D. But there are like 2D segments, there's like 2.5D segments. I mean, it kind of varies a little bit, but generally there's a lot of 3D in it as well. And so, you alternate, and each zone has one of each of those, and then you go to the next zone, and there's one of each of those, and the next zone, there's one of each of those. And usually you beat both acts of a zone, and then you, like, free one of Sonic's friends from some, I don't know, whatever the bad guy, who cares, whatever. But then they talk to you, and they're like, oh, thanks for saving me, Sonic, and it's, like, got voice acting, and it's not that good of voice acting, but it's whatever, right? I mean, who cares about the voice acting? I'm here for the gameplay. I will say Sonic, this is, I guess, with Sonic, my thing has always been with Sonic and 2D platformers is that the Sonic games on Genesis were too hard, right? Because they weren't really actually any harder than other platformers. The problem is that in a platformer, there's a lot of sections where you want to go slow, and you want to take your time, and you want to be precise about the jumps. There is no going slow in Sonic. It's like completely like antithetical to the idea of Sonic, right? The whole idea of Sonic, you go fast, right? That's obviously, I mean, like, he's the blue blur, right? I mean, you go fast. That's what you do. And so the game promotes you at all steps of the way to go fast. There's boost panels, there's springs, there's like all sorts of stuff that makes you go fast. And if you want to slow down to make a jump, well, then you're not going to have enough momentum, you're going to miss, and you realize when Sonic goes slow, and I think this is by design, when Sonic goes slow, he's like really hard to control. Like, he's slippery, he doesn't jump very high, he's not like, he sucks. He really sucks. And also part of the problem too is that the levels are so huge and so open because obviously, you're moving fast. You want the levels to be big. So as soon as you try to slow down to make a jump, well, now all of a sudden, the level's huge and you spend a bunch of time moving around and you can't get to some places and you miss some springs and and like I said, or you'll run over a boost panel and accidentally now you're going fast again and you run into something. And so it was all this stuff. Well, now the 2D levels they're much easier. And I'm not sure if this is just a modern Sonic thing, and I'm just, like, having only played the old ones, or if that's a this game thing. But now that the levels are easier, it's, like, more of a mindless kind of thing. And not mindless completely, but, like, it's a little bit less focused than in, like, even in a Mario game, right? I mean, I wouldn't say you've really got to lock in for Mario games, right? I mean, there's some levels here and there, right? Like Mario Bros. Wonder, everybody talks about the final level, right? The badge challenge bonanza, whatever you want to call it. There's that thing, and you go through, and it can be pretty tough. I spent a few hours. I know I've heard some people spent like 10, 15 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh. I spent like 3 maybe. But I'm also decent enough at 2D platformers, and I'm sure there's somebody that's going to comment. I mean, actually, I'm not sure because nobody ever comments. But there's somebody down watching this that's like, oh my gosh, I did that in first try. I did it in 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, good for you, man. I struggled a little bit, but not like a ton, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that struggle more than me. And there's some people that struggled less than me, I'm sure. But my point is, there are some levels in some Mario games, especially like Super Mario World, right? Where you got the Star World, you got Tubular, you got those kind of levels, right? And then there's like the Star level, the Star World, and New Super Wii. I mean, there's some harder ones. Just the Perfect Run. I mean, you got all these levels. But generally speaking, your average Mario level is not really that hard, right? I mean, you usually don't struggle. Generally, you don't even really die that much in Mario, right? I mean, like, you have your moments. When I'm live streaming, I suck, right? Because I'm busy reading chat. But yeah, anyways, you get what I'm saying? You're usually not struggling too much. In the old Sonic games, I don't think they were actually any harder
right? Maybe they were a little harder. I don't know, but I don't think they were really much harder. The problem is now you've got to like expect things before they come because you're moving so fast. There's enemies, they pop up. You can't move out of the way. Now the levels are actually very easy. It sort of balances out so that it's quite doable. The levels now are actually quite easy. I would say they're even easier than Mario, and that's fine. I mean, it's whatever it is, right? Um, so it doesn't take a ton of focus, I don't think, to play Sonic Generations, the 2D levels. And then it also tells you, it says the 3D levels are a little harder. And I think that's probably true. Yeah, I think the 3D levels are a little harder, which I do find weird. You would think if they were making two levels, they were both mandatory, right? And they were going through the game and they had a 2D and a 3D and a 2D and a 3D and a 2D and 3D, right? They both, obviously, both are going to have their progression where as you go through the game, they get harder. But you would think they would be about equal to each other. Because why would you assume, like, your difficulty's not balanced. Why would you assume that somebody could do one level, and then the very next level be significantly harder, and then the very next level after that be easy again? Like, that seems weird. You'd think that the difficulty curve would, be normal. And there is definitely a regular difficulty curve, right? I mean, Green Hill Zone, not quite as hard as the ones later on, right? But it seems weird to me that there would be those local fluctuations, and they're very clear that that's a thing that happens. So I just found it weird that they want to make the 2D levels a little harder or the 3D levels a little easier. It's almost like two different teams made the game, right? It's like this one team made every 2D level, and the 3D team made all, and that might be what happened. I don't know. And they just weren't quite in tune with how difficult they were making the game. I don't know. That's just a theory. I don't know. It's just the game theory, right? But anyways. I don't know if that's true. I have no evidence to support that. I'm just saying it's like it almost seems like something like that could have happened because it was a little weird how that worked out. But yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying the game. I said it was mindless. I want to say it's like completely mindless, right? Like you do kind of have to think, and there are a couple tricky things here and there. But generally speaking, this is a quite easy 2D platformer, and that's fine, right? That's fine. I don't want something that's so insanely easy that I don't have to think like a mobile game or something like that. Um, and this is getting there, but I still think it's fun, right? And if a Sonic game came out every year, I don't know if I'd want to play one every year. I mean, to be honest, they kind of do come out every year. But yeah, I'm totally down to play some here soon. So, I'm already like, all right, what's my next one? I haven't even finished this one. So, but yeah, and there's a few boss fights. You go through like a few levels, and then all of a sudden there'll be like a locked door, and it'll be like, you've got to go get the three keys from these mini games and open the door so you can fight the boss. It's like, well, I don't really want to. And I will say there's a little bit of that filler stuff, right? There's a little bit of filler. And it's like a 5 hour, 6 hour game. Honestly, I'll probably do it in quite a bit less, maybe like four. 4.5, 5 maybe, yeah. But it said on how long to beat, it said like 6.5. I think it's going to be less than that. But either way, um, they're like, oh, go get the three keys from doing these three mini games. And the mini games kind of suck. Like they're just stupid. I mean, like it's one of them. Like you got to like run through a level, and then there's like a compass that points to something. You run up to it, and once it beeps the loudest, you like hit X, and Knuckles digs in the ground and like pulls out treasure. It's like, oh man, wow, thanks. And then you go through the level, and you got to stop every few feet and like let Knuckles dig up some treasure and more treasure and more treasure, and there's like a time limit. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? What are we doing right now? This is stupid. Or I mean, there's one where like Amy's got a bat, and you've got to like trap enemies, and then Amy's got to come up and smack them with a hammer. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So every time there's a challenge like that, I go find one that's not as stupid. Many of them are like, you'll have to race another Sonic through a level or something like that. And so those are cool. But yeah, I don't love the idea of having to do those extra challenges and stuff. They're just artificially lengthening the game. Um, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's not a very long game anyway. And none of the challenges are like too hard. They're just kind of tedious and kind of stupid. So, but it's not something that's necessarily turned me off from the game. I still think the game's good. I'm not really too upset about that stuff. It is what it is, right? I mean, who cares? But yeah, the levels are great. Obviously, just like any other Sonic game, they started with Green Hill Zone. Who would have thought, right? At least they're creative about it. Uh, but yeah, you got Green Hill Zone. You had Chemical Plant Zone. I don't know all of them to be honest, but some of the ones that stuck out to me, I did really like Chemical Plant Zone. And then also my personal favorite, because I'm not somebody who's familiar with Sonic a ton. And I haven't played most of the games. I haven't seen footage of many of the games, or I've seen it, but I haven't like specifically looked for any footage of many of the games. I did recognize, though, from the little bit I've played of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because that's about the only other Sonic game. I guess Sonic Mania as well. Those are about the only two Sonic games that I've really tried other than this one. Oh, I guess also Sonic 1 and 2 I tried a little bit of. So I've tried a few. But Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, they had the City Escape level. It was almost 1-to-1 too. The 3D level, the whole first half of the 3D level in this game was almost 1-to-1. The City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It might have even been exactly 1-to-1. Maybe I just was missing some things. But yeah, I thought that was great. The 2D level definitely took some inspiration from it too. And that's the thing. I really like how the levels are broken up, right? You'll go do a 2D level, then you'll do a 3D level, then a 2D level, and a 3D level. I think I prefer the 3D levels personally, but I still think the 2D levels are good. So yeah, they're great. I mean, I thought it was a good game. At least what I've played of it so far. I will probably talk about it a little bit more next time, because I'll probably have beat it next time. I might even have beat Shadow Generations as well. I guess Shadow Generations is supposed to be a little shorter, so there's a good chance I'll have beaten both of those by next episode. But I've played quite a bit. I think I'm actually almost done with Sonic Generations. Like I could probably finish it in another hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. And I'll probably be all done. So, also another thing that makes it really good, they've got the playtime tracker. You go on your file and it shows you how much time you've played to the minute, which is great. I wish every game would do that. I'm not really sure why every game doesn't do that. I mean, obviously there's some like small like indie stuff. I don't need like Inside and Limbo to tell me how much game time. But if they wanted to, sure, I'd take it, right? But some of those big stuff, even if they're not RPGs, because RPGs are the ones, RPGs always have the playtime. Not always, but often. I don't understand why every game doesn't have a tracker like that, right? I mean, it's crazy to me. But anyway, so I was happy about that. I guess that's really all I have to say about Sonic X Shadow Generations for now. I'll definitely talk more about it next week. Like I said, I'll probably have beat Sonic Generations, so I'll have a few more opinions on that. And then I'll probably have lots of opinions on Shadow Generations, because I haven't played any of that yet. So that's exciting. Also on Switch 2, so I talked about the only Switch 2 games I have. I will probably buy Yakuza at some point. And then I'll probably just save for Donkey Kong Bonanza, because that's coming out in like a month. Actually, a month from today when I'm recording this. So that's pretty cool. So I need to definitely get that when it comes out. I'm probably going to try to get that on launch, assuming Walmart actually put their games on the shelf. I wish I still had a GameStop, then I could get it there. Unfortunately, I don't, so I can't really pre-order stuff. I mean, I can technically pre-order stuff at Walmart, but it's not the same. It doesn't work out very well. Sometimes they just, like, send it to you instead of picking it up. It's like a mess. It's a disaster. So I don't want to pre-order stuff there. I want to pre-order stuff at GameStop, but I don't have one anymore. So I mean, really, who cares? You guys don't care. But I'm just saying it's a little annoying for me. And then the other two things that I'm partway through on Switch 1, I'm partway through Tears of the Kingdom. I've been live streaming that, so if you haven't watched my live streams, definitely be sure to do that. I've done 2 so far. They were hilarious. I mean, there were so many funny moments. I'm actually going to edit those up into actual videos, but it's taking longer than I thought, so I need to get on that. But yeah, so watch my live streams. Stay tuned. I'll be live streaming again at some point. I don't know, maybe Thursday, maybe the day after you guys are seeing this. I might. We'll see what happens, unless something comes up. But yeah, so Tears of the Kingdom, it's pretty great. I've got to say, coming back to Tears of the Kingdom again, because don't expect me to beat this. I'm not sure I will, because I've played Tears of the Kingdom, the beginning of it, or the first even like up to 10 hours of it, many, many times. I mean, I have like 60 hours, I think, or 55 or something on Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 1, or on just in general. That's how many it says in my profile. And yet, I think the most I've played in a single profile was like 10 to 12 hours. Like, I've restarted it a bunch of times. Um, that happened with me with Breath of the Wild too. I just like really, really just don't feel these games like most people seem to. I think they're good games. I just don't think they're as incredible as most people seem to think. But yes, I will say though, Tears of the Kingdom, man, it looks incredible on Switch 2. Like, it looks incredible, especially the sunrises and the sunsets. Like, honestly, this might be one of the best looking games I've ever seen, and it's on the Switch 2. So anybody I know I was negative a little bit earlier. Anybody who's skeptical about the power or skeptical about the performance and stuff, look at Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. It's incredible. Or even Breath of the Wild or stuff. It is amazing what they've managed to accomplish on the Switch 2. And it just goes to show Nintendo is the best at this optimization, at all this stuff. I mean, you see, like, they're always working on less powerful hardware, and they always manage to catch up on most things, right? I mean, they've had issues here and there. You know, Link's Awakening, you went outside and the frame rates dropped a little bit. Tears of the Kingdom, you opened the master hand and the frame rate dropped a little bit. I mean, there's a few problems here and there, right? But generally speaking, for the power they have, they managed to do so much more with it. It's incredible. I like it's incredible. And this is a perfect example. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom looks amazing, amazing. I really I cannot stress enough how incredible this game really looks. I mean, I have a PS5, and I was blown away by by Tears of the Kingdom, the performance and the graphics of it. I mean, I really and really that stuff does not tend to appeal to me. The graphics and the frame rates, I'm like, whatever. It could run like a, I was gonna say like a toaster, but that doesn't even make sense. It could run like a toaster, and I mean, no, I care about, I guess, about frame rates a little bit, right? I like my games smooth. I don't really care much about graphics. Graphics really just don't bother me. Like, I'm like, whatever. I mean, it looks bad. Who cares, right? I definitely do notice it. Like, it's noticeable. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks pretty bad. But I don't like stop playing a game, or I don't enjoy a game less just because of that. I'm like, okay, well, they could have done better in this one thing, but it is what it is. But yeah, when they're great though, I'm like, wow, yeah, that is pretty cool. And yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. It's pretty cool. This might actually promote me to go back and actually beat it this time, because it just looks so. It just looks phenomenal. And for anybody who didn't play it on Switch One, oh, it's something. It's something. But yeah, I figured that was worth mentioning. This isn't something like I'm not playing this on my own. I'm playing this on live stream. So, but yeah, you can look at that. If I do ever beat this game again, it'll probably not be for many months, because, like I said, I'm live streaming it. I'm obviously not gonna move as fast when live streaming, because I can't live stream every day, where I could play every day, right? Maybe not every day, but most days I could probably play some every day if I was doing this on my own. But because I'm live streaming, it doesn't work out quite the same, and that's all right. I'm not really too bothered about it. Um, and then the only other thing that I'm still partway through on Switch physically, I guess I always forget about digital stuff. Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm still I haven't gone back to that in a while, so I just figured I should give it a mention. I haven't forgotten about that game. I'm still technically working on that. That's still on my list, right? But I haven't played it in a long time. I am probably gonna go back at some point and try to figure out where I was stuck and stuff. I don't know. I think it was one of the ones that was gonna get free upgrade, right? So that's pretty cool. I'll check that out, and maybe I'll come back to that in the next couple weeks, but I'm not gonna promise it this week. I'm pretty sure I will not come back to that in the next week. So at some point. And I totally forgot digital games exist. That's part of my problem with digital games. I forget what I'm playing digitally, because they're not sitting there on my desk. They're not. I can't see them. I can't see them. Really, I hate digital games. I hate them. I hate them. But I have also been playing stuff, a couple things digitally on Switch too. Obviously Wind Waker, right? I had played quite a bit of Wind Waker last time. I kind of slowed down on it. It's one of those things. It's a little intimidating, to be honest, going big into something like that. Um, but I did play a little bit more. I finally set sail on my own. I landed on Dragon Roof's Island, and I lavished in the amazing music. But I haven't really done much else. I explored the Great Sea a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, there's some cool things out here. I found Beetle on his boat, and went to the shop. I didn't really do much, to be honest. I'll definitely I'll try to do a little bit more of that, because I know that's something I was really excited about, and now I'm here like, oh, really haven't played it. So I do need to go back to that, and I will go back to that. I just haven't really. I've been preoccupied with other stuff. So the Sonic's been pretty good. So. Yep, I'll go back to that. And then the other thing that I've been playing on Switch 2 is also the first game that I'm going to talk about that I've beaten in the last week, and that game is Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I think I talked about this last week. Actually, I'm almost positive I did. This is by Joseph Harris. That's Ferris. That's a guy. Joseph Ferris. I always forget his last name. I can never remember. Sometimes I feel like Harris. I'm like, Harris isn't right. I think of like I can't even remember what else I think of. I don't know. I can never get that guy's name right. It's Joseph Ferris, that guy. Yeah, so Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. It's obviously a very narrative driven game. You can play it co-op. I played it single player, with the two Joy-Cons. I talked about it a little bit last week. I was like about halfway through last week. I thought I was actually more than halfway through, but I think I was about halfway through. Um, and it was a little weird controlling. I know a lot of people know this game. This isn't anything new. It's been out for a long time. I think it might have even been like, what, 2012 maybe? Is that when this game came out? 2013. Okay, so that's pretty close. So 2013. I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, to be honest, though, actually, it looks pretty dang good for a 12-year-old game. That's pretty impressive. But anyways, so yeah, Joseph Ferris, he's obviously a lot of people respect him. A lot of people know him for It Takes Two, and obviously now Split Fiction. Those are the two latest things. Those are both co-op only, I believe, or I'm pretty sure they're co-op only. I guess I should look into that because this one is single player as well. So I don't know. Anyways, I played this single player. I thought it was a really good game. It's definitely pretty high up there on my list of indies. I wasn't like absolutely blown away. Like I know some people I've heard talk about this game like it's like top 10 or like top 20. I'm like, I don't know about that. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. I beat it in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Finished it on June 13th, so that was what, Friday. Yeah, it's a good game. It's a really solid game. Obviously you control the two brothers. I don't really want to spoil what happens towards the end. It's it's not really something I want to talk about. I don't want to do like a spoiler. I don't want to do a few minutes of spoilers on that either because it's really not anything too substantial. But it is something that I don't think should be spoiled. I actually had heard about it before, so it wasn't a shock for me. But something does happen at the end of the game. So, but yeah, I mean, you go out. You're two brothers. You go out on an adventure to save your father. Uh, yeah, you go through. It's all puzzle based, right? I mean, you'll be walking down a street, and all of a sudden, some guy like blocks off a gate, right? Or they're like some giant monster appears, and you have to fight it. And there's no like fighting mechanic. Like you're just walking around. There's one action button. So each joystick, you use the left joystick to control the older brother, the right one to control the younger brother, and they each have ZR and ZL or whatever controller you're using, whether it's L2, whatever LT, whatever your controller is. I guess I was playing this on Switch too, so for me it's ZL ZR. Those are the only action buttons. It's all you can do. And that action button obviously changes depending on the context. If you're trying to climb a ladder, then that's a climb button. But if you're trying to, I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? If you're trying to hold on to something, it's a grab button. I mean, whatever, right? But yeah, so there's one joystick for each brother, one button for each brother. That's all you got. That's all you need. There's no more. Nothing more. And it's a good game. It's definitely a good game. I thought it was well designed. It was, I really liked the puzzles. I will say it was very easy puzzle platformer. Platformer? I don't know if it's really a platformer. It's a really easy puzzle game. I have heard some people had difficulty. I think I'm just getting better at those because I've been playing so many puzzle games and puzzle platformers and stuff. I'm getting better at them for sure. But I didn't really have any problems. I don't have to look anything up this time. I was definitely happy about that. I oftentimes do have to look something up, but I didn't have to look up anything this time. And it was a good game. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. It'll probably be in my top 50. Actually, it'll definitely be in my top 50. It'll probably be lower down, though. But it'll be my top 50 for sure. Which, by the way, I need to make that video. Really need to make that video. So I'll get on that at some point. But yes, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I would definitely recommend it for anybody. I know a lot of people have played it. And, on some level, I do want to play more Joseph Ferris, but I'm pretty sure you can't play It Takes Two or Split Fiction single player. And I don't really play games with people, so I would probably be turned off by that stuff, unless there is a single player mode. I should look into that, because I'm not sure. Yeah. So, those are the two games, or that was the one of the games I beat. I'll get into the two on PC that I beat now. Both of these games were games that were free on the Epic Game Store at one point or another. I've obviously claimed a lot of free stuff in the Epic Game Store. I talk about it probably every episode. At some point, I probably bring it up. Maybe somebody should go back and look and just see if I've mentioned the Epic Game Store in every episode or not. Probably not actually every episode, but just about. I mean, I talk about it very frequently. I guess I'll talk in order the ones that I beat. The WereCleaner. I beat the WereCleaner on Saturday, and actually I should preface, I beat both of these on Saturday, the day after Brothers. So that's June 14th. The WereCleaner is another game by college students at USC. So I think Quiet as the Eyes, a game that I beat a couple weeks ago now, was also made by college students at USC, and it was published by them. I think it was USC. I don't know. It was made by college students. I think it was USC. Um, and personally, I think I prefer the WereCleaner to Quiet as the Eyes. So to those college students, maybe they can like fight it out and be like, "Oh, look at this! This random guy on the internet prefers my game." Uh, no offense to Quiet as the Eyes. It's a good game. It's a good game. But the WereCleaner, I really I thought the WereCleaner was awesome. Honestly, it's if it wasn't such a strong year for games for me, I would have been like, oh man, this was like number one. No, not number one, but you know what I mean. It was a good game. The WereCleaner. I guess I should explain the premise a little bit. You work at an office building and you're the janitor, the cleaner, right? You go around, you clean up messes, and so you start the game, and you have to go around and clean up, and there'll be these messes in a few rooms. You have to clean up like two or three of them, whatever, no big deal, right? And you have like a hose, like a pressure washer or something, which is a little weird that you'd be using that in an office building, but you know who knows, right? So you spray down the messes and you leave, no big deal, right? But it's very narrative driven because turns out you become a werewolf at night and the company they put out a warning that or not a warning but like some sort of thing like it's like everybody's got to work overtime at night for a week. I don't know why. It's obviously not meant to be realistic. So then you have to go in every day for a week, but you're a werewolf and it's nighttime. And so now you're a janitor, but you're a werewolf. I'm like really bad at explaining this, but you get what I'm saying. You have to clean up messes as a werewolf. And there's this you're friends with a security guard, and he talks to you every morning through a peephole. It's a little strange though. The security guard doesn't have any cameras anywhere, which is a little strange, but you know who knows. But he's sitting around, and basically he finds out that there's a werewolf cleaning, or not cleaning, but he just finds out that there's a werewolf in general killing people in the office because that's the thing. You go around and you can kill people as the werewolf. The main mechanic, obviously, the main mechanic of the game is the cleaning, right? With the pressure washer, and later on you get a vacuum cleaner to clean up solid objects, and then at the end or later on you get like trash bags, and there'll be like bugs or insects or something, and you have to like put them in trash bags and then vacuum up and then wash, right? So you have is like a 3-step process here. Um, and so there's 7 levels, each one for the day and the week. Um, and basically you have like X amount of time. It's usually I think it's like 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something. You don't have a ton of time, and you have to do all this stuff and leave the building in that amount of time. Not really sure why, but you know, for whatever reason, there's an amount of time. And obviously, there's other people in the office, and because you're a werewolf, if you see the other people in the office, you go crazy and you kill them. If you see them for more than a couple seconds, if you're looking at them for more than a couple seconds, and if they see you, they might come towards you to like investigate, and then obviously you're gonna end up accidentally killing them. And if you kill them, then you have to stop what you're doing. You have to eat the body, and then it leaves a mess everywhere, and then you have to clean it up. So it slows you down significantly. So obviously, if you took the wrong route, even in the earlier levels, you could fail because you could not get out in the 6 minutes because you were busy cleaning up the messes from people you killed accidentally. And so there's actually on each level you can get a little let's look a little stamp, right? Where after you finish the level, it'll show you how many stars you got, and it depends on how much of the 6 minutes you spent. Obviously, if you didn't kill anybody, you probably got it done faster, so you might get more stars. But also, if you got no kills, you get a little badge in the corner that says no kills, and then on the menu you can see which levels you got what in. So it's definitely meant to be replayed and meant to be 100%ed, and I actually kept it downloaded after I finished it, so I can go back and 100% it at some point. Not right away, but at some point I'll go back to it for sure because I thought it was very fun. It's a crazy, ridiculous concept, but it's also really funny, and I think it's really fun. The mechanics are there for sure. I think it's a very impressive game. Like, just impressive in the way that they had such a crazy design, or such a crazy concept, and yet they managed to make it work so beautifully and be such a fantastic, fun little game. You know, it's just a fun little game. It took me an hour to beat. I could probably go 100% everything in like another hour, probably. Um, Maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. Maybe if I have some problems on the last level or two. But also hidden in the levels, I think you can get these at any point during the week. There are collectibles. So early on in the game, I was like, oh, well, I finished the cleaning up the messes in less than the 6 minutes, so I guess I'll just walk around and get some collectibles. And I was also going around killing people because I thought it was fun. Uh, maybe I have a problem. But I was like, ooh, how many people can I kill and still have time to leave the building? Later on, I found out that you're supposed to not kill people. I know, crazy idea, right? I mean, you can definitely play the game, kill as many people as you want, or you can kill none. But if you want 100% the game, then you've got to try to do it without killing anybody, because it's much harder to not kill people. Because, like I said, especially later on in the game, the office gets really packed, the people are moving around, and you have to get around them. There's distractions you can cause. Your vacuum can shoot out balls of paper, and so you can distract people away. Um, Also, they will stop at like a computer or a fridge or something and like do some action, and that will take them a while. And during that time, unless you get super close, they can't see you. So you kind of have an idea sometimes if people aren't moving around how long it'll be until they are, right? So you can get a better idea. But yeah, I mean, it's not hard to actually beat the levels without killing people. Sorry, it's not hard to beat the levels because you can kill a few people and still have plenty of time to leave. But it is hard to not kill anybody if that's what you're going for. So if you're just trying to beat the levels, it's very easy. You probably won't have to redo any of the levels except maybe the last one. The last one gets a little tough. Um, but yeah, it's pretty easy a game. But if you're trying to 100% it, I could see some difficulty for sure. So I will probably go back to that and try to 100% it. Obviously, as you go through the week, the messes there becomes more messes you have to clean up, and they become more difficult to clean up. You have more tools you need to use to clean them up. And then at the very last day, you're discovered. You're found out. Like the security guard finds out that you were the werewolf, and he's like hunting you down with a gun. So you still have now you don't have time anymore, but he actually chases you around, and he uses like a tuft of fur or whatever to make this like locator. And so he'll follow you around with this like, and it'll ping, right? It like sends it out in waves, and he's following you around the building. So you'll have to go to one of the messes, clean it up a little bit, and then run away and hide. And and he'll walk by or whatever. Then you have to come back and quickly clean up whatever you can, run away and hide again. And they're spread out. There's a few messes around the building. And it took me a second attempt on that. I struggled a little bit the first time. I found a strategy later to kind of cheese it. But yeah, originally I was like, ooh, this is a little tough. All the other ones, there's no pressure other than the time mechanic. This one added a lot of extra pressure where now you actually had to run away from a guy. So, it was quite interesting. It's definitely something that, like, if they ever updated it, which I mean, I think now this game's been out a few years, but if it ever were to get, like, an update or even, like, DLC or something, I would definitely be interested in it. I don't think it's something you can make a whole nother game over. But I'm definitely interested. I should find exactly who made this game, what, like, couple people made it, and follow them and see if they've made anything else on their own, any sort of indie. Maybe they started an indie studio. I don't know. I think it's been a few years since this came out, so yeah. But I thought the WereCleaner was a very fun game, and like I said, I'm gonna probably come back to it and at some point and do the 100%ing stuff, um, and all that stuff. And also on the same night, I also beat another game, Beyond Blue. I almost think I might have mentioned Beyond Blue once when I was looking through my catalog of stuff I've gotten for free. Beyond Blue is a underwater diving game. I guess in a way it's almost like an Endless Ocean Luminous, right? I haven't played Ocean Luminous, and honestly, I don't really care to. But after playing this game, I guess I have some more appreciation for diving games, because man, this was actually pretty good. I thought it was quite entertaining. It's almost like a big, like, it almost looks big budget, it's like a big budget behind the back, third person narrative game. Like but at the same time, it is also made by a small team, and it's actually very impressive, like visually too. Like you see these fish in the water, and you have a scanner. Like obviously, it's kind of what you'd expect, right, from a base level mechanics. You're a diver. You've got people on the ground, kind of talking to you while you're diving, and you have to go around. You have to investigate things. The plot of the game stems mostly on a family of whales. You follow them around, and I think they're like humpback whales. I don't know. I don't know my animal species, or my underwater animal species. Um, but anyways, I mean, you follow around these whales. You do some other things while you're there too. I mean, there's some other things. But yeah, I mean, you're like in a research zone in the ocean. And you have to investigate a number of things underwater. The underwater swimming mechanics were fantastic. I thought it was great. Basically, you press in the joystick to swim faster, which, to be honest, I guess actually that could have been mapped to a button. That probably would have been better. I was using an Xbox controller. When I play on PC, I usually use an Xbox controller, which, to be honest, I don't really love the Xbox controller. I actually probably prefer the DualSense, but for some reason I've just always used the Xbox controller on the PC. Um, anyways, so yeah, you would press in the stick to move a little bit faster, and then you could do I think on Xbox it's RT, and then LT are the back triggers, and you use the triggers. The RT is to dive directly up, or not directly up, pretty much directly up, and then LT is to dive pretty much directly down. And then if you're just regular, you're just going in the middle, and you use the joystick to move up and down little bits, right? You can move up and down a little bit, but the RT and the LT are more dramatic. So you might have to dive like straight down, in which case you would use the LT. If you have to stream or if you have to dive straight towards the surface, I guess you're not diving at that point, but you know what I mean. It's like swim up to the surface. Then you have to use RT. But so it's pretty simple. And there's a scanner that you can hold with one of the bumpers, the left bumper, and then you can hold down the right bumper to scan a fish or a squid or a crustacean or a coral or a whale, or I mean like anything, right? All these underwater sea creatures, and you can actually see so after you're diving, you might have like a few objectives for a dive, and while you're there you can do some other stuff too, but you have specifically a few objectives based on the story that you have to do. And they come up while you're diving, so you'll go in expecting to do one thing, but then the people that you're talking to on the call or whatever are like, you have to go do this too, and so you might end up doing a few things. But while you're doing that, you can also scan in as many sea creatures and stuff as you want. And when you're back on your submarine under the water, you can see just exactly which creatures you have. I think when I finished the game, I had found one of every creature but one. But there's different tiers you can unlock too. If you find enough of the same creatures, you can like learn their behavioral patterns or something. So it displays differently in your catalog. It'll be like you found however many out of however many. And so a few of them I had learned their behavior. All the other ones though I had just gotten enough to like discover them. Except for the one. I missed one. And part of me, there's a weird part of me that's like, I need to track it down and try to find it, and so I can get it all. But I mean, it's whatever, right? I mean, but it is one of those things. Like, it's not hard to find these creatures when you're swimming around. You just scan everything you see, basically. I just left my scanner out, essentially, and just scanned everything I saw, which doesn't take long. I mean, it takes like a second or two to scan stuff, and you can do it while you're swimming around. You don't have to stop or anything. So it's definitely mechanically strong, and I thought the narrative was fun too. A lot of it's like, it goes into a lot of like protecting the ocean and stuff like that. And I was like, some of the stuff, like there were these videos attached. You could unlock these videos by experts and stuff, and they would like tell you about all the stuff happening in the ocean. And I'm like, man, some of the stuff I don't understand what's going on. Like, I don't know if they're telling me. Like, they're talking about stuff I don't understand. But at the same time, I do like a lot of my sciencey facts and stuff. So I was actually quite interested in some of this stuff they were teaching me. It was like a learning experience for some of this stuff too. But at the same time, so part of it, I was like, man, I don't know what you're saying, but I'll watch it. I actually did watch all of those videos. They're like little YouTube videos they put in there in the game, so you can learn about ocean stuff. And to be honest, I'm not like specifically invested in the ocean. Um, but yeah, I like some sciencey stuff, so I thought it was quite entertaining learning about some of these other things in there. But if you're not someone who likes to, if you're not someone who wants to learn stuff while playing your video game, then maybe skip out on that stuff. But you can still play the game. The actual crux of the game is still fun. But if you want to do that extra stuff, you can do it. But yeah, I there might have been. I don't think there were any sort of collectibles or anything. So yeah, I almost 100% of this, I guess, in a weird way, but it's not really something you should be worried about 100%ing. Yeah, you play as some girl. I don't know. I already forgot her name. And there's friendly banter between her and some of the other people that are on this phone call that give her assignments and stuff. There's this one guy. I can't remember his name. but he's like he's the main guy assigning you stuff over the call. He's hilarious. Like he made all sorts of fun jokes. I found myself laughing at him. Uh, but yeah, it's a fun game. Um, I don't know if I would have paid for it, but it was free, so I was like, sure, I'll play it. I think this was free back in October, maybe. Like it's been a little while, November maybe. It's been a little while since this was free. It's probably not anymore. Actually, I know it's not anymore, unless it became free again at some point. But yeah, I thought it was a fun game. A lot of it, I think it was made with the intention of like promoting climate change, reversing things. You know what I mean? Like kind of raising awareness on that stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. But I also thought it was a very strong game, like narratively and mechanically. So, and oftentimes I don't like underwater mechanics in games. I think that's a pretty popular opinion to have. That underwater mechanics in games often suck. But I thought they were very good in this game. I thought it was a well designed game. So I definitely recommend Beyond Blue. Yeah, good games. A lot of good games I've played here recently. So I intend to probably beat Sonic Generations, maybe Shadow Generations, and maybe another thing or two on PC next time. Other than that, that's probably gonna be it. So yeah, that was all the stuff I've beaten, all the stuff on Switch 2. We'll take one last music break, and then I'll come back and talk about a few news things. I don't think I'll be talking for a ton of time, though. And then we'll end the show. All right, everyone, see you in a minute. And we're back. So, of course, with the Switch 2 having just come out, I'm already hearing all these reports about, the Switch 2, the build quality, right? First of all, I mean, I want to say, Nintendo, they usually do quite good with the build quality. And honestly, I think generally speaking across the industry, a lot of things these days, obviously, there's people that are like, oh, things just aren't what they used to be. And I understand that to some degree, but obviously, as things get more complex, it makes sense that you would have more problems arise as well. And you just have to hope that these companies can do enough to try to reverse some of those things. I'm personally very happy with the build quality of the Switch 1 and so far with the Switch 2. I'm very happy with the build quality of the PS5. I'm far less happy with the build quality of the Xbox Series X, but that's just something that we cannot get into because I complain about Xbox literally every show, and I will still. I definitely have something to complain about them later. But yes, I'm not going to touch on that right now because I will probably go on a 10-minute rant, and I'm going to save that for a few minutes from now. So, anyways, but yes, the Switch 2, some people were having problems. I heard that some people were having Joy-Con drift already out of the box. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I mean, I agree, it's not ideal. I will say, though, it's one of those things, you hear about it all the time, how the Joy-Cons suck because of Joy-Con drift, and I agree. It's not a good situation. The Joy-Cons on Switch 1 wasn't good with the Joy-Con drift. I had it affect me a few times. I literally multiple times I had Joy-Con drift. That said, I'm not like blaming Nintendo for this because everybody uses Hall effect sticks now. Actually, I don't know if Xbox does, but I know the PlayStation 5 also uses the same sticks that are prone to the drift, and they occur at similar rates. I have heard based on some different studies and that the PS5, like many people have had stick drift with the PS5 as well. It's just that that's just not as well publicized. It seems like nobody wants to talk about the PS5 stick drift. Everybody wants to talk about the Switch 1 stick drift, which sucks. It's just one of those things where there's sort of a double standard in the industry against Nintendo on a lot of things, and this is another example of it. I agree there shouldn't be Joy-Con drift, but there shouldn't be PS5 DualSense drift either, and that's just, but it's just a reality we live with. Hopefully there's some things they can do in the future, but honestly, even if there were some things they could do, I don't think they will. Either of them. I don't think anybody's going to do anything about it. Obviously, there will be third parties that will advertise, hey, look, come over here and don't deal with stick drift. But at the same time, I'm not sure if they should necessarily address the problem head on, because part of the problem, the reason stick drift occurs, first of all, they use Hall effect sticks, which are more prone to stick drift. And also, they cramp so many things into small spaces, especially on the Joy-Cons. That's why the Joy-Cons, it happened so early and it happened so prevalently. The instances of it happening were so prevalent because the Joy-Cons are so small that they're more prone to stick drift. The PS5 controller, I guess it happened a little less because they were a little larger, but even still, for those who don't know, I mean, there's a lot of tech packed in the Joy-Cons. There's a lot of tech packed in the PS5 DualSense, and there's a lot of tech packed in the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. There's not nearly as much tech packed in the Xbox Series X controller, and I'm not saying there's no tech, but it's one of those things. There's a lot more controller gimmicks and stuff on the Joy-Cons and on in the DualSense. Like the DualSense and the Joy-Cons, they both have like the HD rumble. They call it different things, but it's the same idea. Um, they've both got gyroscopes. They've both got well, the Switch 2 Joy-Cons have mics, I think, right? I don't know. Maybe they don't have a mic. I don't think they have a mic. But like the Switch 1 had the IR sensor. They just have a lot more going on in there, especially that rumble thing. I don't think it can be discounted how big a difference it is because the Xbox Series X controller has regular old, you know, old news kind of rumble, whereas the Switch 2 and the DualSense, they both have, this HD rumble that takes up a lot more space. There's just a lot of things in these controllers that take up a lot of space. Um, the Xbox Series X has less tech in it, and I'm not saying it's necessarily worse for that. They just haven't focused on any of the controller gimmicks and stuff. But it is definitely something to take into account. That's why it doesn't happen as much on the Xbox controllers, is because there's less going on inside and there's more space for things to function properly, right? So, what's the solution? Do they make the controllers larger? Well, maybe. I mean, I'm not totally opposed. I like some large controller. I'm a fan of large controllers. That said, I think the Xbox controller could stand to be a little bit larger. The PS5 controller, I think, is perfectly large enough. I've actually heard some people say it's too large. I'm not really sure on that. I think it's fine size. It feels fine in my hands. I don't think I have large hands or anything. I think I've got pretty normal hands. I think it feels nice. The Switch 2 Joy-Cons obviously could stand to be larger. Obviously, they're much better than the Switch 1 Joy-Cons, and I think they're comfortable enough. But honestly, if they were even a little larger, I think they would still be perfectly comfortable. And honestly, if they wanted to perfectly prevent the stick drift, the best solution would be to use a regular controller and not use these little Joy-Cons. But I understand for what they're doing why they use the Joy-Cons. I'm just saying if their goal was to not have stick drift, the Joy-Cons just aren't the solution to that, right? And so the Switch 2 Pro Controller, I haven't heard any issues with Joy-Con drift, or I guess Switch 2 Pro Controller drift, or Switch 1 Pro Controller drift. It doesn't seem like anything that plagued the Pro Controller because they now had more space for a lot of that tech. Oh, that's another thing that's in the Joy-Cons, IR sensors. They got to worry about IR sensors. So there's a lot of stuff in there that's not in a lot of the other controllers. And the DualSense is also packed with stuff. It's just that it's a little bit larger. Actually, it's significantly larger to slightly better accommodate that stuff. The Series X controller is also larger, but it also has less stuff to fit. So there's definitely a lot less going on in there. And I think that's part of why the Xbox Series X controller feels a little light, to be honest. But anyway, so, there's been Joy-Con drift issues. There's been a couple battery swelling issues. That's not, I mean, I know some people are like freaking out, oh my gosh, the battery swelling. That's something that you hear all the time. Every time a handheld console comes out, there's always going to be battery swelling. There's always going to be, maybe not always stick drift, but you know what I'm saying? There's always going to be these little problems, these little kinks to iron out and stuff. What was the other thing? Oh, the other big issue that I just actually heard about for the first time today, some people are getting problems with the rumble. I guess that if the rumble occurs too much, like if you have the rumble on for prolonged amounts of time, I guess, it'll send you an error message and it'll turn off the rumble for however much time. So if stuff rumbles too much, it turns off the rumble. I'm not entirely sure why they would turn off the rumble, unless they're just trying to preserve the components that cause the rumble. I'm not entirely sure why they would do that. I know some people have been having problems with Cyberpunk because Cyberpunk uses rumble all the time, from what I've heard. And I guess even a game like Breath of the Wild, I've heard people are having some problems with that. And some people just have defective Joy-Cons where they think they're rumbling too much when they're really not. So a lot of people are getting error messages that are just unnecessary because of the rumble thing. So I'm not sure if Nintendo's going to address this with a software update for the actual console, or if this is something that they actually have to recall Joy-Cons, or if they're just not going to worry about it and you just have to buy new Joy-Cons, which sucks, but at the end of the day, it probably is the business move to make, right? So, But yes, there are some problems with some Switch 2s. I haven't personally had any problems. But yeah, maybe I will. I don't know. I hope not, right? But that's the kind of risk you run by being there at launch, right? And it would be nice if these things weren't problems, but there's always going to be problems with every console. This isn't on Nintendo. This isn't on anybody in particular. Everybody has these problems, and we're always going to have these problems. And hopefully, some of them can be fixed. Others of them cannot be fixed. So it is what it is, right? As long it sucks for those people, and it would suck if I had the problem. I'm not entirely sure what I would do, but yeah, for those, especially the people that don't have these problems, to be all mad at Nintendo and been like, "Oh, look at all these problems I've got." Like, there's always gonna be these problems for everything, for everything. I'm sure this ROG Xbox Ally X will come out with all sorts of problems. There's always gonna be problems. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but we're near launch. We're near the launch of a console. That's just how it goes, right? We have news on Gamescom, specifically on Pokemon at Gamescom. Apparently, Pokemon is supposed to be at Gamescom. Gamescom is held every year in Cologne, in Germany, and it's one of the bigger conventions, bigger events in video games. I would say. I mean, I would say the biggest event these days is probably the Game Awards, right? I would say the Game Awards is gotta be the biggest one. Summer Games Fest is possibly the second largest. But Gamescom is another one of the big events for video games. And Gamescom, like I said, it's always in Germany. Apparently, Pokemon's supposed to be at Gamescom. And I guess they're mostly going to talk about Pokemon Legends EA, I think is what people are saying. I'm not sure if this was official or if people are just expecting. Obviously, that's what I would expect. Just from seeing this headline, I was like, oh, I guess they're going to talk about Legends. Because obviously that's what you would expect. But yes, they are probably going to be talking about Pokemon Legends EA at Gamescom. That's cool. I'm actually kind of interested in that game, even though I'm not generally interested in Pokemon games. I do find that intriguing. So I kind of want to play Arceus sometime in the next few months, or at least start it in the next few months. And then if I like it, maybe move on to Legends EA. I don't know if I'll play it right on launch, but at some point, right? So, yeah. I guess there's also Pokemon Presents in July talking about Legends ZA. So there's a lot of news for Pokemon. If you're a Pokemon fan, you got a lot of news and you got a new game coming out. So I mean that's exciting for those people. Personally, I'm not necessarily a Pokemon fan. I actually am kind of not a fan. But I am interested in trying to get into it at some point here. So that's news for me too. But yeah, I don't think Pokemon's generally at Gamescom. I found that a little strange. But I guess it makes sense, right? It's kind of the big thing in the summer. It was either that or Summer Games Fest that they were going to get in, right? And so, it's one of those two, right? So, but it makes sense. It makes sense that they would do that. I was just a little surprised, to be honest. The next thing, I have a couple headline. I found these headlines on Game Rant. I don't have much to say about these. I'm probably not even going to read through which games it is, but games are coming to Xbox Game Pass, right? And I guess this was the only reason I chose these, because I go through, I check a bunch of media sites, mostly for articles I've already read, but sometimes I find new ones while looking. But I pull them all up so I don't forget them while I'm recording the podcast. Yes, I don't remember. So I don't forget them while I'm recording the podcast. And I found these three while looking on Game Rant, and I just laughed out loud when I found these three headlines. They were one after another. The first one was Xbox Game Pass update adds 3 games, including 2 day one releases, right? Right below that, the next article. Xbox Game Pass is losing 6 games on June 30th. And I just talked about this the other week. How every time new games come to Xbox Game Pass, they lose more than they gained. Every single time. Every single time. It happens every single time. And then, better yet, PS Plus update adds day one game and 8 other titles. Yeah, gotta love Game Pass, right? It's one of those things. I still hear all these people so positive on Game Pass. It's like it's constantly losing games, constantly losing it. I don't know. I've complained about Xbox enough. Um, I guess coming to Game Pass, we got Crash Bandicoot 4. That's a great game. If you have Game Pass, play it for sure. FBC Fire Break. I have no idea what that is. Uh, Lost and Ran and the Eternal Die. I've heard of it. I don't really know what it is either. I'm not gonna care to look into it. They're losing. What are they losing? They're losing Arcade Paradise. I've actually heard a lot of good things about Arcade Paradise. Journey to the Savage Planet. I've heard of that too. My Friend Peppa Pig. Oh no! Oh no! Everybody play My Friend Peppa Pig real fast. Uh, Robin Hood Sherwood Builders. Never heard of that. and then SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig 2, which were actually just on sale the other day on Steam. So I guess it's a little strange that they're taking them off a service and putting them on sale on another one, or not on the service, but on another store. And then let's see, PS Plus is getting Days X or Deus X. I don't know how to say that actually. I've heard of it. I don't know how to say it though. DUI or DEUS. Deus. I don't know. Somebody tell me. That's coming. It's a PS2 game. FBC Firebreak. Again, I never heard of that. I don't know what that is. Battlefield 2042. Iodine Chronicle. 100 Heroes. Endless Dungeon. Five Nights at Freddy's. Help Wanted 2. The Hunter Call of the Wild. Train Sim World 5. Okay. And We Love Katamari Reroll. That's actually really cool that that's coming. But yeah, so those are all coming to to PlayStation Plus. I just thought that was hilarious. Those three articles in a row. I don't have either of those services. I've had Game Pass before. I've actually never had PlayStation Plus. It's not something I'm really looking to get anytime soon. If I ever run out of games, which I don't think is going to happen, but if I ever was running low, I would probably go through and I'd look at all the games on those services. I'd look at PC Game Pass, I'd look at Ultimate, and I'd look at PlayStation Plus, and I'd figure out what was going to be the best deal. Because I agree, it is a good deal. I don't like digital games, but I would deal with it for how cheap it is. If I was running out of games. But I'm not running out of games, and I keep buying games, so I'm not gonna run out of games. But if I ever did, I would probably buy one of those services. Maybe I'd buy PlayStation Plus just to try it out, since I had Game Pass Ultimate already, for a few months. I got that for free when I bought the computer. So, anyways, if I ever do buy a service like that again, buy another month of it or a couple months of it, it'll probably not be for years, probably, because I have so many games. All right. Some big people. Kojima was talking in an interview about Expedition 33. He's not like behind that game, but he was saying it was impressive to see the game studio make the game with like 33 team members and a dog. He said Expedition 33 was developed by a small team. Kojima said it was impressive to see the studio make the game with, in quotes, like 33 team members and a dog. According to GameSpot. Yeah. Like 33 team members and a dog. Yeah, that's yeah. When I first started, it was like a team of 6. Kojima said you could do everything yourself. Now it's expanded. You can't really control each employee, so you delegate. But sometimes the idea doesn't really work out because it's a bigger team. Many modern games are developed by teams of thousands of people. Yep. It can feel like factory work, says Kojima. So yeah, he was talking about how it was impressive. I agree. It's very impressive that Clair of Scary Expedition 33 was made by just apparently 33 people. I didn't realize it was actually 33 people. It might not be. He might have just made that up. But anyways, and also I heard some other big companies have issued statements about, or not issued statements, but in interviews, other people from other big companies have been impressed by Expedition 33. Personally, I really want to play Expedition 33 at some point, but I'm not like necessarily looking to do so too soon. I've got enough stuff to play. I'm kind of hoping it comes to Switch 2 at some point, so I'm kind of waiting. Let's see, what else we got here? Apparently, Kojima changed stuff in Death Stranding 2 because playtesters enjoyed themselves too much. He says, if everybody likes it, it means it's mainstream, according to Games Radar Plus. Yeah, he changed part of the story because it was too mainstream. Too many people liked it. Okay. I don't know if that's true. Games Radar Plus says it's true. We've been testing the game with players, and the results are too good. They like it too much. That means something is wrong. We have to change something. Comes from Woodkid. He is the co-composer of Death Stranding 2. So there's a key moment where we had a discussion probably halfway through when we were doing the game, when Kojima came to me and he said, we've been testing the game with the players and the results are too good. They like it too much. This means something is wrong. We have to change something. Yeah, that's I just find that funny. I hadn't heard about this. I'm just reading that from an article, but man, if that's true, I find that hilarious. That Kojima's like, man, people like this too much. It must be too mainstream. Let's change it. But yeah, Kojima's a weird guy. He's a weird guy. He's a weird guy. So I have a lot of respect for him. I haven't played any of his games, but I have a lot of respect for him, and I want to play his games at some point. But yeah, he's a little weird. He's a weird guy. A lot of the stuff he does is also impressive. The last thing, the Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice, I don't know, Chronicles. It's a remaster of Final Fantasy Tactics. I had actually not heard about this. I don't know how long we've heard about this, so I have no idea. But I heard about this just the other day that this was happening, and I thought it was like fake. And then I just saw an article from Kotaku now, so I was actually very surprised to hear about that. Final Fantasy Tactics. Maybe I'll play that at some point. But yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. I hadn't heard about it. Maybe other people hadn't heard about it, but maybe I missed something. But anyway, so I guess that's gonna do it for this episode. I'll plug a few things. First of all, go down in the description, join the community Discord. On the Discord, we have a lot of fun conversations. We could have more though if you joined. Check out my live streams. I've been trying to live stream a lot. I'll definitely be live streaming a lot in July. July's coming right up, so only a couple more podcast episodes and we'll be right in July. July's gonna be a big month. I'm gonna have a lot of big videos out. I might put out some sort of schedule on Discord to kind of let people know when that stuff's happening, or maybe I'll just go with the flow and see what happens. But yeah, I'm hoping to do a bunch of big stuff in July, stream a lot in July, so definitely tune into the live streams. I guess that's really all I've got. Also, I'll say we haven't had any emails for the show. We're 18 episodes in, no emails. Email the show at notjustnintendo@gmail.com. That is NOTJUSTNINTENDO@gmail.com. You can send any questions, any comments, anything you want me to answer, or talk about, or any topics for the show, anything you want. I'll talk about it. Email the show, or you can just comment if you're watching on YouTube, or comment if you're watching on Spotify or listening on Spotify. Anywhere else though, like Amazon, it's on Amazon now, it's on iHeart. If you're there, you have to email the show. And you can still email the show if you want on YouTube or on Spotify, but I'm just saying you don't have to. You can also just comment, or you can just comment. So either comment on those two places, or if you don't want to, or if you're elsewhere, you can email instead with any questions or anything. I'll definitely be very happy to have any questions. I haven't had any yet, so I'm definitely I would be excited about that. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I will see you all next week, hopefully with some games to talk about. I don't imagine there'll be a ton of news to talk about. I will probably talk about this Bonanza Direct. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it. 30 days, or I think 29 now that you're saying this. 29 days till Donkey Kong Bonanza. And yeah, hopefully I'll have beaten some games next time. I'll talk more about the Switch 2. Hopefully my battery doesn't swell and my Joy-Cons don't rumble too much. And my sticks don't drift. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, goodbye. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you all next week or on a live stream. If you come to my live stream, come to my live stream. It's awesome. It's fun. It's hype. Anyways, goodbye.